So we're going over John Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And in our last video, you talked about how leadership is influence. And leadership across the board, specifically me, a 21-year-old, what does leadership really look like in my life, a college student or a high school student or a senior adult across the board? What does leadership look like across all ages?
Well, I mean, you're a leader on our campus. So I think sometimes we don't feel like leaders, but we are, because leadership is influence. And certainly Chris is one of our leaders of our ministry teams. We've got 14 or 15 teams that serve across the Gulf Coast, and you've done a great job with that, and I'm so thankful. One thing I'm proud of is our leaders. Those teams are all ministry students. We got about 100 of them out serving, and you guys have done. You're the largest volunteer organization in the state of Alabama, which is phenomenal. You oversee all of that. So that's leadership, Chris. That's influence. And I think sometimes we feel like leadership's based on a position, but it's really not. And then other times we talk about, people have this wrong idea that leadership is knowledge, or the more I know that I can become the leader. Sometimes so, but not all the time. Sometimes the leader's not the smartest guy in the room. Sometimes he is. Sometimes people say, well, leader is the pioneer, the one who does something first, right? Well, could be. Oftentimes can be. Think of Lewis and Clark, for instance, and their expedition across to find the Northwest of the United States. So that's an example, or a leader by the United States was a leader by sending those guys to the moon, right? But just because you're the pioneer doesn't mean that you're going to be the one who stays there. Condoleezza Rice says it's good to be the first to something as long as you continue to stay there, right? Because a lot of people who are pioneers aren't the leaders; they fall away. So it's not really being a pioneer either. And the other thing is, and this is what you've done really well at, is it's not management. And sometimes I hear people say, and there's even books out, and to be honest, it kind of perturbs me, because it says, how are you going to serve as the manager? Or how do you manage people? I get and understand the question, but it's the wrong question. Like for me, I'm not interested in being a manager, just like you haven't done with our ministry teams. You're not a manager, right? We set out to be the leaders in the state and serving other people.
Exactly right.
Right? We never said, well, let's just manage what we have. Let's just manage people. And some people are called to be a manager, for instance. I'm not. You're not, right? And what we're trying to do at the University of Mobile is to make people leaders, not managers. So it's not management either. I think that's the wrong term. To me, it comes down to leadership is you can do that. And the reason you can do it at your age, for instance, is you can influence, for instance, your dad, who's a prominent pastor. You can influence me in the role that I have at the University of Mobile, which changes the way that I think. You can influence your peers, fellow students across the campus. You can influence your little brother, right? And maybe he needs some influencing, right?
Exactly right.
He's a good kid. And so maybe that's influencing your little brother. You can influence the youth group at your church. You can. So in other words, to me, it's not sitting up here making policy that influences. It's influencing people. Which means across, up, down. What a great and beautiful place that you're in right now. And other people might be watching this. It's not the one who sits at the top. It's just not. It's the guy who's in the middle, man or woman in the middle, who's influencing in every direction, influencing at home, influencing at school, influencing at work, whatever it might be. So to me, that's what influence is. That's what the law of influence is that we talk about in Maxwell's book. And you've done an awesome job.
Thank you.
Great job
Thank
with
you.
that.
Well, once again, thank you for watching this video live from the campus of the University of Mobile.